When people come to me and ask, Pastor, will you help me read the Bible? The first thing I tell them is that when you read a story from the Bible or you pick a particular text, start with the question, God, what are you trying to say to me in these words today? And frankly, that's how I start my sermon prep every week. I read the text and I ask that question. And usually by Tuesday, there's an answer beginning to percolate. Not so this week. As I asked the question on Monday, the answer came back. Huh? It was the answer on Tuesday, too. Huh? But frankly, on Tuesday, I was more worried about heat and in the sanctuary and getting Christmas Eve service done. But Thursday, it was back with a vengeance. Huh? Now, mind you, it's a familiar story. It's the story of Jesus and his parents and others going up to Jerusalem for a festival. And on the way home, Mary and Joseph began to ask, have you seen Jesus lately? Oh, he's probably with one of the relatives, or maybe he's hanging out with his friends. But as time goes on, they get a little more concerned. They have not seen him, and neither has anybody else. And so they begin to retrace their steps, and they get back to the temple. And there is Jesus sitting among the scribes and the Pharisees, having dialogue with them. Now, mind you, Jesus is about 12 years old. Well, as normal parents, they're pretty ticked off. Why have you put us through this, Jesus? How inconsiderate you are, and on and on and on. And Jesus' response is pretty irate. Come on, Mom, chill. Didn't you know I would be here in my Father's house? What's the big deal? Cool your jets. What do you do with that, huh? And to make matters worse, context doesn't really help, because the story seems to be forcibly wedged in between Jesus' circumcision at 8 days and the encounter with Anna and Simeon on the one hand, and the arrival of John the Baptist at the Jordan on the other. It doesn't even provide a nice, smooth transition. Huh? That was the question that woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, and would not let me go. I got to figure this out. There's got to be an answer in there somewhere. And so I got up and went down to my study and I hauled out the text again and I began to read the story. And it's like, oh, yeah, da, 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 da. And then I hit the last line. And there it was. And Jesus grew in favor, both human and divine. In that one line, Luke addresses one of the great controversies facing the early church. Who is this Jesus? Is he simply a human, or is he simply divine? Those were the polls. And already it was becoming evident that there was a danger in pulling Jesus to one pole or the other. If Jesus is simply fully human, then he's a whole lot like the other prophets that have gone before, challenging the way things are, becoming a poster child for progressives. On the other hand, a fully divine Jesus becomes a Jesus that stands as this powerful, mighty judge, condemning those that don't agree and encouraging all kinds of militant behavior. The early church wrestled hard with that question for quite some time. And the answer that they arrived at, long after Luke puts it so succinctly, is that Jesus is fully human and fully divine at the same time. What that does is provide us with a Jesus that encounters us in our humanity. He knows about our brokenness. He knows about our emotions, our feelings, our drives, all of that. At the same time, he comes to us with grace and truth and forgiveness for exactly that humanity that he knows now so well. It is that Jesus, fully human, fully divine, that goes to the cross for us and that continues to enter into our lives, bringing us grace and forgiveness. One of the mistakes that we make, I believe, these days, is one to pull Jesus apart. We continue to do that Jesus may champion our particular cause and our agenda. But even beyond that, it is the notion that the incarnation, God made flesh, only happened once in first century Palestine. On that starry, starry night in Bethlehem. The truth is, at least as I have seen in my life, God continues to take on human flesh and enter in and out of my life. God bumps into me on a daily basis in the lives of those around me. And sometimes I see it right away, and other times it's only in hindsight that I recognize, that's who that was. Because the truth is that all humanity is holy, is in essence divine, sacred. We are creatures of the divine creator. The first breath we take is the breath of God. We can deny that. We can choose not to believe that. But we cannot change that. That is who we are. We are creations of the divine creator. We are holy and sacred. And at the same time, we're fully human. We screw it up, though we know we screw it up. And it is that humanity that recognizes the need to come back to the Creator again and again. Do you hear those words that Jesus speaks from the cross? Father, forgive them, for they're just human. They don't have a clue. And even beyond what that means for us individually, what happens when we begin to recognize one another as creatures of the divine creator? Does it change how we deal with each other? Does it bring us up short when we want to just haul out and smack somebody because they disagree with us? Does it change how we look at the world? Huh? Yeah, there is that in the story. It's real. But I think it's a that's worth challenging as we begin to look at each other and the world and how we deal with each other. It's worth a try.